I'm Shannon Martin. Tonight, struggling to keep up with demand and feed those going hungry during Ramadan.
There's a shortage of halal food across the country because the demand is huge.
The Muslim Food Bank puts out an urgent call for help as it works to support a growing number of newcomers. And
National Geographic declared Niagara Falls the best place on the planet to view this.
Total solar eclipse countdown, how at least one Ontario city is bracing for record crowds for the rare celestial event. Plus,
it is Canada's largest St. Patrick's Day party. We're here all day.
St. Patrick's Day celebrations already well underway ahead of Sunday's big parade.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Thanks for joining us. We'll have those stories in a moment. But first, a busy day of protests downtown Toronto as two major rallies filled the streets. We start with migrant workers, students, and refugees calling on the federal government to provide permanent resident status for undocumented people.
We're seeing these incredibly racist and exclusionary laws that are being put into place on migrants. Domestic workers aren't able to get permanent residence. International students are being shut out. They're being added with extra requirements. And migrants are being blamed for the affordability and housing crisis. And we're saying we are not to blame. We deserve equality. And the only way we will have equality is full and permanent resident status for all.
Similar rallies taking place across the country today, just ahead of the International Day for the Elimination of Discrimination. That's on March 21st. The federal government announced they're preparing a, quote, large program to regularize undocumented immigrants. Minister of Immigration Mark Miller told the Globe and Mail a plan is to be presented in the spring. Well, turning to another protest happening in Toronto, this one held by pro-Palestinian demonstrators and Irish allies.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
The protest held this afternoon in front of Union Station. As you can see, thousands of people demonstrating the continued occupation in Gaza. Health authorities there say more than 30,000 people have now been killed. Many from the Irish community also showing support today, with protesters saying their own country faced struggles for independence. More international aid is starting to flow into Gaza. At least 27 deaths have been reported in recent weeks from malnutrition and dehydration, according to the Hamas-run health agency. Ithil Musa has more on the efforts to get supplies to the people who desperately need it.
As much needed food, water, and supplies made its way to Gaza's shores, on Saturday by air, Germany parachuted 4 tons of humanitarian aid to the starving enclave. The UN estimates that a quarter of the besieged population is now at risk of starvation. Ahead of a 2-day trip to the Middle East, Germany's chancellor urged Israel to allow aid access to the territory on a larger scale. We are standing firmly by Israel's side in defense of its own country, and Israel has every right to defend itself against the Hamas attack, says Olaf Scholz. At the same time, it is important that the rules of international law are respected. It is about ensuring that civilian casualties are avoided, that humanitarian aid reaches Gaza. Humanitarian agencies have accused Israel of impeding aid deliveries, which it denies. Still, some experts say
an immediate ceasefire is mandatory. There has to be the ability for both the population and the humanitarians to feel safe in the delivery of this care. The humanitarian corridors need to be open to permit at least 500 to 700 trucks a day to come in to bring the basic supports.
But there are fears things could get much worse and fast. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved military plans to attack Rafah, Gaza's southernmost town, where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are sheltering.
I think the consequences of a ground operation in Rafah in the current circumstances would be catastrophic for the people of Gaza, for the Palestinians. It would be catastrophic for the humanitarian situation.
According to Egyptian officials, talks aimed at securing a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas are expected to resume in Qatar as soon as Sunday. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
And this was the scene of another pro-Palestinian rally last night. It happened outside a Liberal Party fundraising event that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau attended. Toronto police surrounded a hotel and a barricade was set up to keep demonstrators away from the entrance. Police confirmed 2 people were arrested, a 25-year-old from Toronto for mischief and damage to property, and 61-year-old David Menzies from Rebel News. Police say he was charged with obstructing a peace officer and breaching peace bond. The protest was organized by the Palestinian Youth Movement, calling out what they say is Canada's complicity in Israel's war on the Palestinian people. In other news, Toronto police say they've made an arrest after some disturbing allegations of voyeurism in which police say a suspect recorded victims changing and showering in a University of Toronto residence washroom. 19-year-old Shunutsuki Kashikawa has been arrested and charged. He was scheduled to appear in court earlier today. Now, a number of incidents of voyeurism have been reported in recent months. We spoke to students at University of Toronto today who were reacting to the news of the arrest.
I mean, it's a good thing he was arrested, but I really don't like the fact that he was just kind of going around for months. I heard that, there was another one who was arrested in July. I mean, if that's such a big issue here, I think the university should be probably taking a bigger stance against it.
I would think that increased security would make a lot of people feel a bit better, and I think it would be the best next step forward, to be honest.
Now, police believe there could be more victims out there. They're asking anyone with information to contact them. Many food banks continue to struggle, and one in the GTA is putting out an urgent call for help during Ramadan. The Muslim food bank says demand is big, especially among newcomers, but they are running low on much-needed items. As Anam Khan shows us, they're hoping people will pitch in to help.
This food bank in North York caters to the dietary needs of Muslims, with halal and vegan food options like meat and pasta. This year, organizers are seeing a massive spike in need, and they're worried they won't be able to keep up.
There's a shortage of halal food across the country because the demand is huge. In the last few years, it's really doubled or tripled the demand due to high inflation.
Azim Daya says this location feeds over 500 people a month. Last year, it was around 200, less than half. He says the struggle of refugees is particularly evident.
Palestine, Afghanistan, Syria, Myanmar, Somalia, Sudan, all over the world, we have refugees coming here, and people don't realize that they come on a daily basis.
He says during the month of Ramadan, families are fasting from sunrise to sunset. With no food and water, it becomes taxing on them emotionally and physically, not knowing where their next meal will be. The food bank says it helps as much as it can, cooking meals in-house at the Islamic Center it uses for its services. For the month of fasting, it provides daily iftar meals for nearly 500 people, an amount that doubled since last Ramadan. For people like Bibi Khan, it's a lifeline. She says she suffered a stroke years ago and has 3 adult children who are sick.
My kids, one is a cancer one, he is 42, he's in bed. My blind son is 40, and the one with the vertigo in her brain and hole in her heart, she's 38, and they can't help themselves. This food bank is very helpful to me.
Today, the team prepared distribution packages to hand out next week, filled with non-perishable food items for families in need, enough to last a month.
Essentially, it's literally what I feel is the least I can do in my life to sort of give back. I try to acknowledge the fact that God has blessed me with the minimal that I would need. For example, a roof over my head, a job. So I have a lot to be thankful for.
The Muslim Food Bank says donations will really go the extra mile during the month of fasting to keep up with the demand. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
A memorial service was held in North York for a mom of 4 new to Canada who died waiting for a shelter bed in Mississauga.
So we are really calling on the government to step out this shelter issue and find out how do you help these refugees, because they need to be helped. There is no point of somebody just standing outside waiting just for a shelter. It's inhuman. We are asking, can they be treated better?
Delphina and Gigi died 3 days after arriving in our country. Her remains will be repatriated back to Kenya after the service. Sophia joining us now for our first look at the forecast. Hard to believe March break is coming to a close already. It felt a little cooler out there today, or is that seasonal?
It's a sign of things to come. And yes, it certainly is seasonal, but after the week of early summer-like weather that we've had, it feels decidedly like March again, and that change will continue into the overnight period. We're already seeing the rain heavy at times along the Georgian shores coming on in. Hope you enjoyed what was really one of the last nice warm days for this long-range forecast. It's been breezy out there today as well. Gusts anywhere from 30 to 70 kilometers an hour. At least it's a southerly flow at the moment, sort of like we've had for the past 2 weeks. It's the warmest start to March that we've had since a really balmy 2012 year as well. The average high, 11 degrees. The second half of March won't be the same though, and the luck of the Irish isn't really there to keep that warmth going for the Sunday afternoon parade. It'll feel closer to the freezing mark with some wet snow showers and a brisk wind and some light rain as well. Let's talk you all out the timing for the next 24 to 36 hours, that rain into the overnight period, and then as a slagging trough comes south throughout the province, bursts of snow throughout your Sunday and your Monday, along with again that very brisk raw feeling west wind. It'll kick up the lake effect snow machine again. Another 5 to 10 centimeters for the traditional snowbelt regions. Just when you thought we were done talking about snow, Shannon, the ski hills rather could have a couple centimeters into next week again.
They're probably looking forward to it. Thanks, Sophia.
You're welcome.
It's that time of year again. Sniffle, sneeze, cough, and wheeze. If you have allergies, you know what I'm talking about. Warmer temperatures mean people with allergies are feeling it earlier than usual.
It's not fun. It's not fun.
Well, usually they start around like April, like mid-April. But this year I had like really sniffly noses and stuff.
And even our newborn baby is very congested at the moment, so we think there's something to do with allergies here.
Oh, it's sometimes really bad when the spring starts.
Yes, experts say Toronto is registering more than double the average amount of pollen in the air with the above seasonal weather, causing it to be released much earlier.
What we can see through our trend lines is while pollen acts like a business going up and down, the trend line is showing that continuously year over year, we are experiencing more pollen and longer seasons. Now, because pollen likes warm weather, there stands to be a correlation between that and climate change.
Coates says we've seen more pollen in places like Hamilton and Toronto due to the early spring. He says different trees produce pollen at different times. Parts of southern Ontario have been a hot spot for pollen from cedar trees. Now, birch is among the most potent allergens and expected to get worse in the next few weeks. The countdown is on to the total solar eclipse, just 3 weeks away now, and it's already being celebrated with a new stamp. Here it is from Canada Post, showing the moment of totality as the moon's shadow passes over 3 Canadian provinces, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and us here in Ontario. An added feature, the stamp glows under a black light. Well, one of the best places in the world to see this rare event is Niagara Falls, and joining me now is the mayor, Jim Diodati. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
So I understand you are in for some record-sized crowds. How many people are you thinking?
Well, it's a great question. You know, we've got a major U.S. documentary company that covers things like this, and they're up here and they covered past events, and they said, "Do you have any idea how many people to expect?" And we said, "We don't, because the last total solar eclipse in Niagara Falls was 99 years ago." And we said, "We don't." And they said, "What's the biggest event that you've ever had?" And we said, Nick Wallenda, 2012. We had upwards of 150,000 people here at once in person. And they said, "We'll expect 8 to 9 times that crowd for this event."
Wow.
And we all stopped in our tracks. And we said, "You got to be kidding." They said, "Oh, no." And especially since National Geographic declared Niagara Falls the best place on the planet to view this, this is going to be an incredible opportunity. NASA will be here. The Canadian Space Agency will be here. Guinness Book of World Records will be here. We've already got all sorts of requests from all international media to be here. And a lot of people have asked me, why do you think this one in particular is going to be extra special? And I believe Niagara Falls is one of the great natural wonders of the world. And when you couple that with one of the great celestial wonders happening at the same time in the same place, this isn't man-made. This is nature at its finest, and an opportunity to see a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because The next one in Niagara Falls will happen in 120 years. And I doubt very much, unless there's a major advance in science, that any of us are going to be here to see that.
Yeah, that's right. You know, so many people watching are going to be excited. And I know I was checking out online earlier today, just looking at hotel prices, Airbnb. There's such big demand. I'm seeing prices of like $1,000 a night, and that's if you can even find a room.
Well, that's if you can find one. And you're exactly right. The record numbers, it's dynamic pricing. It's kind of like getting a room or a ticket for the Super Bowl or parking at Rogers Centre during a major event. It's just what happens. There's a finite amount of supply, huge demand. And if the weather is nice, and that's the big variable that we won't know for a couple more weeks, because when the weather's good, we're within a day's drive of almost half the population of North America. Wow. So a lot of people make that decision kind of game time. And depending on the weather, and I mean, we know here in April, it could snow, it could be sunny. We don't know what it's going to do, but if the weather's good, it's going to be craziness. And we're encouraging everyone, order your glasses in advance. Don't show up looking for them. Bring water bottles. Make sure your gas is loaded up or charged. Your car is loaded up with gas and charged. Make sure you have everything you're going to need for the day, just in case, because we don't know exactly what to expect other than record crowds of people.
Yeah, that's right. And I know you've got plenty of activities planned, a concert. You've just given some of your advice there, but I also imagine, you know, if you can take the GO train, maybe that would be another thing, because I imagine you're thinking about highways and people crammed and being in their cars.
Shannon, you're exactly right, and that's the best thing. And I was in contact with Metrolinx this past week, and there's going to be an announcement at the end of the month. The extra trains they're going to put on. I'm sure the minister is going to have lots to say on that. Nick Belenda, we did the exact same. We added extra cars, and it's the best way to get here. There's no traffic jams on the train tracks, and it's a nice, easy way to get here. And worst case scenario, if you had to walk from the GO train station to the falls, it's a 20-minute walk. I just tell people, come prepared for whatever. Even myself, I'm going to ride my bike down there from my house. I'm going to have a backpack with my glasses and water bottles and cereal bars, and I'm going to try to be as prepared as I can. I don't want to take a chance with a vehicle. I want to just make sure I get down there, and I'm just going to plant myself for the day. A lot of people have asked, why do you have big entertainment like Glorious Sons, and we're going to have the Niagara Symphony Orchestra playing during the Eclipse? It's going to be a pretty neat event, and our rationale isn't to bring more people. It's so that they'll leave gradually. Because what we find New Year's Eve, when we have our big New Year's Eve show, right after the fireworks at midnight, there's a mass exodus of people going to either the casino or the hotels or the highway, and it's not good. So, and this time there'll be significantly more people. So we're hoping it'll be more of a peel-off effect as the entertainment's playing, and hopefully it'll be more gradual. So we're looking at both aspects, safety and entertainment. We want it to be a great experience for everyone that's coming here that day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be spectacular, and also you'll have a live stream so people can follow that along if they can't be there in person. Thanks so much for sharing all of that with us, Mayor.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
That's Jim Diodati joining us from Niagara Falls. Fans from all genres are coming together this weekend at Comic-Con in Toronto. It's a chance to show off their passion and creativity. Many telling us a big part of the weekend for them is community.
I am a huge fan of fandom, obviously. I've been coming here for 9 years, since I was really young, and I love it. I love the vibes. I love hanging out with friends and just dressing up.
It's like Halloween. You get to spend time on getting to dress up however you want. There's no judgment because you're meeting a bunch of people who are interested into what you're interested in. You get to meet all different types of people that you would never get to meet. Everybody all around the world. Like, people are coming from different states, countries. It's amazing experience, and you'll never get like this kind of experience anywhere else, I feel like.
The community, I made some of my best friends here. It's welcoming, I can be myself, you know, I get to buy cool things, see some cool actors, but it's mostly about the community and about how welcoming it is.
Got to spend a few hours there yesterday, Sophia, and that is it. Community,
Fun.
but the creativity. I just love seeing people's costumes. They go all out.
And the talent. A lot of these costumes are homemade, and oh, what a fun vibe. I've covered it before too, and it is a ton of fun. You'll be wearing green in the next 24 hours. Many of you out there, and we've got some green on the maps to show you in the form of rain in the next 30 seconds or so. Enjoy the double digits and all of those costumes, though, out there today. Last double-digit day for a while. The luck of the Irish, not so much there for the warm weather St. Paddy's Day parade. For tomorrow, some bursts of wet snow showers and feeling closer to the freezing mark with, again, a raw west wind. That'll be our story for really the short range and then to the long range. There's the green we were talking about 5 millimeters of rain into the overnight period. Not like the real soaker that we got Thursday evening into Friday, but this is a cold front that will usher in that temperature change we've been talking about. Lake effect, snow bursts throughout the entire province, a little bit more heavy snow up to the northeastern portion of the province, and winds gusting anywhere from 30 to 50 kilometers out of the west. All in all, you're looking at about 5 to 10 centimeters in the traditional snowbelt regions into Monday, but then we keep this cool seasonal regime until Tuesday. Start of spring, folks. It's going to feel more like an early March raw feeling for Sunday into Monday, and of course Tuesday as we welcome in spring. And the cool conditions stick with us all week. We've gone from what's felt like May back to, well, January, the end of the week. Look at the cool feels like, feeling closer to the double digits. This is good news, though, Shannon, for anybody that's been suffering from an early onset of all the allergies this year. This will slow it down in its tracks a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we've been talking about it, the runny nose and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so you'll have a little bit of a reprieve.
Okay, thanks, Sophia. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're welcome. See you tomorrow.
Finally, we all know what tomorrow is, so if you're feeling a little blue, why not get a little green down at the Guinness St. Patrick's Day party?
This is our 9th annual event here. It is Canada's largest St. Patrick's Day party. We're here all day. It is a massive venue at over 45,000 square feet in Toronto.
The event is down on Polson Pier and runs all day long, with Lalonde saying they're expecting thousands of guests. It features Irish dancers, fiddlers, bands, and DJs, a free pancake breakfast, and a Lucky Charms bar. Interactive experiences are also happening all through the day. That is our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for being here with us. We're leaving you now with more scenes from Toronto's Comic-Con. Just an amazing amount of passion and the costumes. We love seeing it. It's running all weekend long. We're back with you tomorrow night at 11.